this.
Yeah, I think that if the president's going to get anything done, he's going to need both chambers. And if he loses a House, which doesn't look like nobody thinks he's going to lose the House except Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah. But if he does, if they lose the House, they're just going to look to impeach.
Well, Ari Fleischer this morning was interviewing with Brian, talking to Brian, and he said, we've learned in this election that who voted for Kamala? The uber wealthy, the college educated, and the ones without religion. And so you have to take a step back and say, okay, that's not everyone in our country. Middle America does like God. Middle America might not have gone to college, but they are wonderful people. They're God-fearing people. They're not deplorables. They're not, what was the word? They're not garbage. They're hardworking people that are trying to put food on the table for their family, and they can't afford the food in the grocery store. So Democrats are now saying some of them are flipping out, losing their minds, cutting their hair, having protests. But you have a few Democrats like Congressman Seth Moulton, Democrat from Massachusetts or Maine. MA is Maine, right? And he says this to the New York Times. Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that.
Well, the thing is Ainsley, you talked about what they say, the college educated and all these groups. That's the lecture crowd.
Right.
If you notice,
That's
Obama, whether he was talking to black males or all the surrogates they put on, it was all the people lecturing the American people instead of listening to the concerns.
He was lecturing the black men.
That's exactly right. And they said, you know what, we're going to do what we want to do.
But there were 2 seats in New York that flipped, and we saw the commercials. They ran as Donald Trump. They both ran as strong on the border. Tom Suozzi kept his seat that Santos screwed up. And then you have D'Esposito, who's a strong candidate, but he loses to Laura Gillen. She ran as, I'm strong on the border, I'm for cutting taxes, I'm for small business. And the same thing Casey tried to gain on McCormick the same way.
You're right.
Look at what Tom Suozzi said. He said, instead of saying, how can people vote for Donald Trump, we should be asking, why do people vote for Donald Trump? What did he do right? And what did we do wrong? I mean, that's a guy that wants to keep his seat. And that's a guy that just wants to govern. I mean, if I'm the Trump camp, I'm calling this guy.
That's right.
I go, look, I need people to work with because I'm only going to have a 5-vote margin.
Right. Because you're not going to vote for someone who doesn't represent you. You're the constituent. They need to know who you are and what you like and what your interests are.
The most underreported thing about Donald Trump is he's not a partisan. All right. He clashes with the party and the party establishment all the time about issues. I mean, you think about during the campaign, there was a huge battle between him and some in the pro-life community because he said that he didn't want to do a national ban, that he wanted to stay with the states. And so there is room to compromise with the Democrats if they're willing to have the conversation.
Yeah, here's Dean Phillips yesterday. Remember, he ran against President Biden, was vilified by his own party. He did our show in New Hampshire. He joined us yesterday. Watch.
I don't blame people for being frustrated. A lot of my colleagues are wondering what the heck happened. I get it. I've been around this country. I've been listening to people for years share with me their concerns and their challenges. And I don't know why Democrats have not learned the lesson of what really matters. We got to listen. Bernie Sanders, I think, hit it on the head. You know, we have lost touch with the core of America. And that's showing through in a lot of our elections right now. And the next candidates that recognize that are willing to listen, ingratiate themselves with everyday people, and are authentic, they're going to win. And it doesn't matter their politics as much as it matters about their authenticity. I think that's another lesson learned.
Last hour, we told you about Mike Bloomberg came out in an editorial yesterday and said we should have probably been more candid about the deterioration of Joe Biden. He came out and said that on the Sunday shows a year ago, and they eviscerated him. Who is he, a one-term congressman? Do you know what he is? He is a very rich guy, self-made multimillionaire, lost his dad at a young age, and established himself there. He actually hosted Joe Biden when he was in his prime and saw the deterioration. He did what RFK did and taken on Joe Biden in New Hampshire. You know what they did? We're not going to do anything in New Hampshire. Oh, really? We're going to meet in South Carolina.
But the Democrats have that bad. And I know this because I was a former Democrat. Whenever you express concern with the party and say, hey, you're losing me right here, they just kick you out. They don't want to have the conversation. It is their way or the highway, which is why that coalition went for Donald Trump. I mean, you got RFK, you got Tulsi Gabbard, and you got all the other many former Democrats that decided to give Donald Trump a shot.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.